Welcome back to the third and final installment of the laundry cabinet build saga. We're going to get this project finished up, which means finishing overhead and under cabinet lighting, the countertop base and putting the countertop on, finishing up the last details on the drawers, mounting all of our doors, and crown molding. So let's get started.
I started off by pre-drilling the holes that would hold my drawer panels on and edge banding all the tops of my drawers and shelf fronts.
I have to hold off putting my drawer panels on. I forgot I didn't have the right 3/4 inch length screws, so in the meantime I'm going to mount all of my under cabinet LED lights and then put my doors on. These lights I got on Amazon. They were just like 50 bucks. They seem to work fine. I just tested them, and there's 6 lights. I have essentially 6 cabinet bays, so I'm just going to do one under each bay. This kit came with the option to hardwire it in, but I went with the outlet just in case we ever want to replace them in the future. It's a little bit easier. It's just plug and play. Now remember, before hanging these, I drilled the hole in the corner in order to feed the wire in from the inside, and then I also put in these channels so that the wire can easily pass underneath without drooping beneath the cabinets. My level is the same length as each light, so I'm just going to draw a straight line where I want the lights. And then that's where I'm going to screw the brackets onto. Here it is all done. After I mounted this in here, I took a look back and I thought it might be kind of ugly and I should put it up underneath. But the more I thought about it, we will have a desk here, so you'll be looking up underneath the cabinet quite frequently. And I went back and forth for a bit, but I decided to leave it up here. Easy enough to change in the future if we ever need to. All right, time to start putting hinges on my doors. I am using Blum 1/2 inch overlay soft close hinges. They're the European cup style with a 35mm hole that I've already drilled when I was making my doors. So this should be pretty straightforward, just putting the inserts in, tightening the screws down, and then I will mock them up on the face frames, pre-drill holes there, and then should be able to finally screw them on and do final adjustments. To drill the holes in the face frames, I'm using a 7/64 self-centering drill bit. It's spring-loaded, and the end of this thing is tapered, so when you go to drill your face frame, it automatically centers in this slot here. Pretty nifty tool. I'm gonna line this up approximately where it needs to be. I made a mark to signify my 1/2 inch overlay, and make marks underneath my hinges. So now I can drill it with another hinge without straining myself holding that door. Soft close. Now I just got to put my handle on, which I already have the holes pre-drilled for when I made the door, and then rinse and repeat. Easy as that. The time has come to mount my drawer panels. So how I'm going to do this is I just marked my 1/2 inch overlay on my face frame. I'm going to clamp this up here. Now that I got the overlay just right, I'm going to drill through my 2 handle holes here, screw my handle on to help secure the face to the drawer box, and then I'll finish it by putting the 4 screws from the inside to secure the rest of the panel onto the drawer box. For the next two, I'm just going to repeat the process, except this time I'm just going to use a 1/2 inch spacer to make sure I have a consistent space between the drawers. You can line up the sides. After you get the first one, the other two are quite easy. So the next step was getting this thing secured to the floor and level, which was easier said than done. We finally got it now, but just look at how out of level this thing was. It was like a 1/2 inch from front to back, just from the floor sagging over the years. So I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with this toe kick. It is glued on here, but if I can get it off, I'll just make a new one to come down to here, or easier option might be just to put a piece of trim all the way around here to hide that gap. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. That's what it's like living in an old 100-year-old farmhouse. Here's another one just for the heck of it. At the end, it's probably almost 3/4 inch out. And then the same goes for over here. It's this cabinet doesn't even touch the wall. This one does, and they're lined up at the front, so it goes to show you how crooked it is in an old farmhouse. The new overhead light. My mom found this fixture that she really liked online. It was made in 1907. It's really antique, but it's been rewired with normal wiring. So we're gonna get this thing put up on the ceiling. Time to untape the switch. Moment of truth. Will it work? Whoa. Holy crap, I was not expecting it to be that bright. Wow. It really lights up this room way better. That is awesome. All right, let's try the under cabs. Look at that.
We did end up changing out the daylight bulbs for a softer light.
Now that I have my under cabinet lighting in, it is a lot easier to work in here. So here is my plan for the corner. I'm basically just going to be putting 2x4 ledger boards on the wall and on each cabinet. And then I'm going to use these joist hangers, these things right here, to basically make cross members spanning the gap there. And this is going to be the trickiest piece, this 2x4 that's at an angle, and then I'm going to face that with poplar that's going to be painted gray to hide all of the 2x4 support structure. The countertop is going to sit on top of this drawer base, which I leveled when I installed it. This is a perfect task for a laser level. I have it just above where the drawer base top is, and I'm going to basically make that line all the way across, and that's where the tops of my 2x4 are gonna go. And I just carried down my stud locations from when I found them for the wall cabinets above. I've pre-drilled and countersunk my ledger, and I'm using 3-inch deck screws to fasten it into the studs. Now for these studs, I beveled them at kind of an arbitrary angle just to give this board something to come into when I put that on. And I'm going to be putting screws in where the drawer slide spacers are, so there's a little bit more meat for those screws. I'm just using these 2.5 inch screws. There's our first support. It's not fastened in yet. Before I lock that joist in, I'm going to put some corner braces on to reinforce this, so this cabinet isn't just on its own. It's only held down by 3 screws into the floor. So putting a brace here is going to keep it from wanting to rock over. This is a Simpson A34 angle bracket. And I'm using number 9 Simpson structural grade screws, which is what they recommend if you're not going to use nails. Before I block myself out of this corner with the countertop base, I'm going to turn my attention upwards to the crown molding. This is really the first time I've done crown, but I watched a couple of YouTube videos, so I'm basically an expert. Here's my preliminary plan. I'm gonna do these two outside corners first and just run the ends square, and then do a double coped piece at the middle corner. That's gonna be the toughest thing to line up, so I want it to be a short, small piece. In order to wrap the crown molding around the sides, I made these spacers, which just get screwed down through the top. For the crown, I didn't get anything special. It's just regular 3 5/8 primed pine crown from Home Depot. And I painted it with the same cabinet coat paint from the cabinets. I've read that cutting crown on the flat is inferior to cutting it in the nested position, but I don't really have the right setup for that. I don't have the nice miter saw wings that make that easy. But my saw comes with this handy guide printed on it that tells you basically exactly what your setup needs to be in order to get the right compound angle. And it already has the 33.9 degree bevel and the 31.6 degree miter written out, so it makes it pretty easy to set up.
Putting some wood glue on the corners really helps keep them tight over time. And painter's tape holds them while drying. For the long piece, I measured how far the crown needs to go on the face of the cabinet, made marks accordingly, and then put a small nail at that mark. This helped hold the long piece on one end while I nailed the other. The last little piece was kind of tricky, but I mitered at 22.5 degrees because it was a 45 angle. And I used a combination of a coping saw and an angle grinder with a flap disc to do all the coping. After it was hung, I caulked everything, put another coat of touch-up paint on it, and it was good to go. Then it was back to the countertop base. My original idea of a full 3/4 inch board on the facing was too thick, so I resawed it with the bandsaw to make it half as thick. The company who installed the counter is local. They're called Atlantic Granite and Marble, and they installed a low maintenance quartz countertop custom fit to our area. We use them for the bathroom as well, and they do an excellent job.
Fast forward about 8 weeks, the custom quartz countertop is now installed. The company we had install it was pretty booked up, so that's why it took so long, but better late than never. This matches the countertop in the bathroom across the hall, and we absolutely love how it turned out. It's beautiful, it should be really durable. The veining in it is perfect, not too much, not too little in our opinion, and overall it just looks really, really nice in here. So overall, I'd say it turned out as a successful project. Really happy with everything. In another video, I'm gonna break down what the economics of building my own cabinets were and whether it's something you might wanna consider. This is something I've been tossing around a lot lately because we're building our own house coming up, and cabinets are one of those high dollar items that I really like to save the tens of thousands of dollars of cabinetry that we're gonna have in the house and put that towards high performance building materials instead. But I still wanna have nice cabinets, so we'll see what shakes out of that and whether or not it's worth it to build your own. So as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.